Who's ready to fix more rust? Nope, definitely not me. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Wally's Working. All right, it's time to tackle the fenders. Now, driver's side here is the main one I'm concerned with. We have got to fix this corner right here. This thing is pretty bad. I'll just try to keep this really simple and just do a patch job on it. Ideally, this whole area in here needs to be replaced. This thing is really bad. It's really pitted all back through here, but I'm not gonna get into that. I don't wanna mess with it. It is a structural part of the step assembly and the fender as well. So I just need to get this corner patched up as best I can. Now, as far as the rest of the step assembly and everything, these tops, I'm gonna end up just cutting these tops off and putting something else up there. They do make the rubber pads for the steps and also for the back side of the fender right there, aftermarket. They're a little bit pricey, but I'll probably end up ordering those just to cover all this stuff up. But these things are really, really thin and obviously coming apart. So I'm just gonna tear these things off and get rid of them completely. And then the passenger side fender, it is not nearly as bad. I might just leave that thing alone. There's a couple dents I wanna knock out. But as far as fixing major rust issues, I think I'm just gonna run it. There's a big dent up here I'd like to knock out, and then there's a dent right in here. I'd like to get this one knocked out. Down here is in really good condition. The whole side of it's in really good shape. And then this corner is not nearly as bad. At least it's still connected anyway. Just a little hole right here. But this top edge of the step right here is definitely got some holes in it, and it's pretty rough. Luckily, the metal's thick enough there that there's still enough of it there. And then again, the top steps, I'm just gonna get rid of these as well. Like everything else with this project, let's just get it good enough. There wasn't any heads left to put a socket on it. Things were gone. This thing still has a surprising amount of original undercoating. Well, I don't know if it's original, but whenever it was sprayed. Okay, that's better. Oh, these do bolt on. I thought they were welded on. These steps actually bolt on. Interesting, okay. Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll just cut them off and then I can just use them as templates. I got a shot in the dark here. Let's see if these things will even move. I don't care if they even shred off and disintegrate. That's fine with me too. Just like that. Yeah. It's quicker than cutting them, that's for sure. I'm gonna try to beat and bang and straighten and take all this stuff off now before I get into cutting all this out. Bada bing. This other one actually is probably reusable. I could just straighten this thing out. This one's not as bad. Of course, now that I cut the bolts off, which I had to, but I could just weld it back on if I wanted to. I don't know, I'll probably put something a little thicker on here anyway. And it looks like somebody drilled holes in here to keep the water from pooling, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? All right, so I got some of this stuff straightened up and cleaned up a little bit. I just straightened up these flanges here and this one here. Just trying to get them a little bit better. These bottom rails and everything are really rusted. They really need to be replaced, but good luck finding parts for these things. I mean, I know they're out there, but man, everybody wants a fortune for these cab over parts. This whole fender assembly really needs to be replaced. I mean, yeah, it can be fixed, but it would need so much work. Since I got this dent beat out here too, it looks a little bit better anyway. All right, so I went ahead and clamped this thing down to the table back here where it's nice and flat on the step part. And then I just kind of put the front where I felt like it was where it's supposed to be, where it felt like it was wanting to lay naturally. That way I can kind of assess this corner a little bit. I think I need air for this one. Trying to keep this all in one piece, but there's no way I can. All right, now I got some templates and go ahead and figure out how to duplicate. Well, this one's easy. The other one will be a little more challenging because of the bends, but boy, she's rough. I know a lot of you guys, like I've said before, a lot of you guys want me to paint this whole truck, but this is the reason I don't, is because a lot of this stuff is pretty bad. And I would rather just find a whole nother set of fenders or steps and cab or whatever. I just want to save this truck for what it is right now. And then down the road, you know, if I feel like painting it, then I'll try to source out some panels. So if anybody's got a set of fenders and steps or whatnot out there that you guys want to part with, let me know. I'd appreciate it. But for right now, we're just going to save this thing for what it is, and we're not going to worry about the rest of it. All right, guys, I got some of this kind of clamped together here back into shape where it needs to be. I just put a piece of steel underneath here to keep these two on the same plane, and then up here as well to put this flange and this flange on the same plane. I had to do a little bending on the step here. This thing was kind of leaning this way, so I just bent it back over that way to try to get this kind of straightened up as best I can. I'm just trying to get it as close as I can. I'm not going to worry about it too much. All right, well, we got that piece made. Got it stuck together for the most part. She ain't beautiful, but it'll work. I got it made as close as I could to the original, you know, what was left of it anyway. I got this piece put in, drilled some holes, put some bolts in there. I just tightened it up just so I can get all this stuff welded together. I'm just gonna go ahead and get this thing welded out and get some primer on it and get it all blended in. I think that's gonna be good enough for this thing. It actually went a little easier than I thought it was going to, so yeah, it'll be fine. It's a heck of a lot better than it was, that's for sure. I just flattened out that weld a little bit on the inside. Not worried about those too much, but everything fits all right. And then we got the outside. I'm not as worried about this, again, because of the rubber mat's gonna cover this, but we've got it really close. I didn't want to dig too much deeper in there. It was a little uneven, the metal, when I welded this together, but it was the best I could get it. And then this one here is not too bad. I got a couple little pinholes here I'll probably fill in from the backside, but otherwise it's smoothed out pretty good. And this whole piece right in here is pretty bad. It's pretty wavy, pretty rough. All right, I think we're gonna call that good enough. That was the biggest thing I was worried about on this fender. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get on the inside of this thing and either wire wheel it, or I don't know, I can just run over it real quickly, real lightly with a wire wheel. But yeah, if I can get in here and just kind of knock some of this off. I'd like to cover all the rust color and have it all black, and I think it'll look a lot better. What does old Junkyard Dig say? I don't know if it's fixed, but it's different. All right, well, I wasn't sure if the wire wheel was gonna work, but I just kind of went with it, and actually it worked pretty good. It took off everything that I want to take off anyway. So what I got is I got about, I don't know, I think I have like 7 or 8 cans of this undercoating Rust-Oleum. This stuff should be fine. It's paintable, whatnot, if I want to paint it. All right, driver's side fender is done. I'm gonna go on to the passenger side. Before I quit for the day, I'm just gonna squirt a little bit of this on there just to see what it looks like. These cans are super old too. They've been sitting around for, I don't know, who knows how long. The tip's clogging a little bit, but it's working. Come on. Yeah, it's gonna look fine. I'll just lay it on there nice and thick and heavy, and it'll look just fine. Arguably, the inside will look better than the outside now. All right, end of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. We're back. All right, it's been a few days. So I got the driver's side fender all finished up, put a couple coats of that undercoating on there. It looks pretty good. And I've been working on the passenger side fender. I put 1 coat of the undercoating on, trying to straighten out some of this framing here. A lot of this was bent pretty good. This was bent in pretty far. I've got it pulled back a little bit. It needs to go more. Just a lot of this stuff is just kind of, yeah, it was hit right there, so it did bend some of this stuff up. I've got it close enough. It's like trying to straighten a wet noodle right now. It's just kind of flopping all over the place. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it bolted up to the truck and then I'll finish it off that way instead. Went down to a local hot rod shop here in town and they actually had some Fender welting in stock. This is just a 3/16. This is the only one they had. I wish they had one that was a little bit wider this way, but this should work just fine. It's gonna be a little bit short up here around the bolts in a couple spots, especially up here where it's really thick. But again, this is all they had, but it'll be fine for this project and for what I'm doing. It'll be good. All right, so the driver's side fender is ready to go. It's ready to be mocked up. I need to go ahead and get this thing mocked up on the cab. I need to drill holes through the bottom of the cab corner where the fender bolts on right here. So I just got to get those drilled out. All right, well, I got this thing bolted to the table. I'm going to knock a couple dents out of this thing. Although it is still pretty early. Oh well. I'm gonna have to hammer and dolly that one. It's a little better. These top rails are really pitted, they're really thin. I knew you were gonna do that. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna do this on the truck. I'm just gonna straighten these flanges out and I'm gonna do it on the truck. I'm not gonna... This thing is just flopping everywhere. It's just too much of a headache. Oh, let's try to get this thing. Let me see where I'm at here anyway. I think... All right, let me grab a few bolts here. Went down to the hardware store and spent $1 gazillion on hardware. So do me a favor and subscribe. This wasn't too bad. This is all just grade 5 stuff. I don't need anything more than that. Now I'm starting to rethink this whole thing. Maybe we should slam it down now. No. All right, we're definitely not doing that. Hopefully in position here. I really could use an extra set of hands. All right, I need a tie down. I can't do this by myself. Piss poor prior planning here, but that's all right. Oh, we gonna go high enough? Barely. All right, that'll work. All right, I'm gonna have to crawl under there. I hope all this stuff lines up. I'm probably gonna have to do some beating and banging on this thing to get all of this stuff lined up since I did so much sheet metal work to it, but we'll find out. I mean, these steps were beat when I took them off, and so was the cab. So I'm sure there's gonna be some manipulation. think we're just gonna tighten them up and let it do its thing, you know? Wherever it goes, it goes. Good times. Okay, that'll work. Gets that close. Let me mark this hole. Man, I hope I left myself enough room. Yeah, it looks like I did. Okay. I'd like to pull this in a little more if I can. There, that's better. I'm gonna pull all this back apart again and get these holes drilled. So it's looking pretty good here. Got a pretty good gap. The Fender welting is definitely gonna take that up. And down here's looking pretty good. That flange up there will bend up, and I gotta bend that down. This flange is still a little bit uneven. So I'll fix that and that'll be fine. So now I just gotta drill these holes underneath here, get that clamped back up again. So I think the only real difference is this is just gonna stick out past here just a little bit. But we're not gonna worry about that. That'll be just fine. I just want that to be, you know, nice and straight up and down. Right now it's pretty darn close. It's gotta come out a little bit. All right, let's get the passenger side mocked up. I was gonna go down and get some paint and whatnot and mess with some of that stuff, but I need to get this stuff mocked up first. I'm getting ahead of myself and getting a little too excited about things, so I need to focus on what I'm doing. These things are definitely not precision fit panels. Cracks me up how a lot of these older trucks are built. I think winter and summer are fighting right now. We'll get one weekend where it's, well shoot, just a few days ago it was 100 degrees. Now it's supposed to be back down into the 70s again and windy. They've just had some wild fluctuations lately. Looks like they're still lining up for the most part. Okay, those are snugged up. All right, those are marked. Let me pull this thing back off again. All right, holes are drilled, took the fenders and everything back off again. There's one major thing that I forgot about that I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. I forgot that I need to build some sort of support to just give them that lower step, especially, just give it a little bit of support when you're stepping on it. This thing originally had a bar that went all the way across to the passenger side, but I can't do that anymore because the engine's in the way. Now I've got body bushings in between the cab and this framework here, so I don't really want to attach anything to this framework. I don't think it would matter too much. Those bushings are not gonna flex an awful lot. I mean, they might move, I would think maybe at the most 1/4 of an inch or something. So if I built a structure off of this and went down underneath the steps and I kind of let it float, it might be okay, but I would rather just attach it to the body under here. Now I've got 1x2 material under here welded into the floor and it's all really solid. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a piece up here and then come down and then I can support it and I'll bolt it right to this cross member right here. That way it's mounted to the cab and not the tree work itself. I should have done this a long time ago, but honestly, I completely forgot about it. Now that I got everything drilled, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the fenders and everything bolted back up to the body again. I wonder how many times I'm gonna be doing this. Get everything bolted back up again to the body, get everything straightened out as best I can. Then I can go ahead and figure out that support bracing. Can't have anything nice. Stupid fender slipped off the jack and just gouged that fender. Oh well, first scratch is out of the way. Now I can go ahead and start pulling and twisting, and I'm gonna get these things straightened out as best I can. This one here is gonna require a little bit more beating and banging. This corner here is pretty beat up. And this stuff is really thick too, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this exactly. And then this needs to be lined back up again and bolted back up. All right, guys, I got the driver's side all set. Passenger side took a little more beating and banging, but I've got it straightened out. I've got this connected back up again, or at least lined up anyway. And got this straightened out. So at least now it's an even 90 degrees. I'm gonna try to get them as close as I possibly can. They're not gonna be perfect. This thing is just, as you can see, it's just, you know, stuff's pretty chewed up. All right, guys, it's been a hot minute. I just haven't been filming. It's just too much of a headache crawling underneath this truck 100 times. Let me show you what I got going on. So what I did was I took a piece of 1x2 and I just bolted it to the bottom of the floor, ran a brace down this way, all the way down. And then I'm gonna go ahead and notch this piece out here, this original piece. And I'm gonna put a piece of 1x2 in right here. That's gonna go all the way underneath and basically connect in with this thing here. That way it'll support this whole thing. All right, guys, here's where I'm at. So I put a piece of 1x2 in here and I put it in vertically. I figured it'd just be stronger. I was trying to avoid having anything hanging down below here, but it's hanging down, you know, whatever, an inch below. Not that big a deal. You really won't see it anyway, once it's all painted black and everything. So now I gotta go ahead and just take all this stuff out, unbolt it, and then weld up the rest of this stuff. But that should work pretty good. So this is where, you know, your foot's really gonna hit. Be right on top of that bar, so it should be good. Then I just added this piece of 1 inch in here just to give this a little extra support. I left it kind of floating right now, so I'll be able to shim it. I'm gonna drill a hole through this and bolt it, and then I'll drill this hole out and I'll bolt it. And then once I put the deck on and everything, it'll all be bolted solid to it, but I'll be able to put shims and stuff under there as if I needed to, just to adjust it a little bit, because you can see how much movement there is in it. There's quite a bit of movement. And same thing on the passenger side, I got that all set as well. Hoping they'll drop out okay. There it is. Yeah. Okay. There's that one. All right, well, I'm struggling today. I just cannot get a bead going to save my life. All right, guys, I got these things all bolted back in now. Everything looks pretty good. Yes, I got my fingerprints all over them because I was too impatient to wait for them to fully dry. I want to be done. It's the end of the day. I'm tired. All right, let's see how much they flex here. That's pretty good. I mean, that's all my weight on it right there. They're not hardly moving at all. Oh, it feels so much better. That's perfect. Yep, cool. Feels great. Feels nice and solid. Now, as for this one up here, there is a rod down in here that goes from this corner all the way up, and I don't have it bolted up right now, so I've got to get that in there, and that's going to go ahead and support this just a little bit more. But this is pretty much taking care of all of it, and it feels really good and solid. So yeah, that's great. That's going to be really nice. That was a big project. People wonder why it costs so much money to build these things. Just show them that stuff, you know, all day long just to build 2 brackets and mock up some fenders, you know. That's a huge improvement over the stock one, that's for sure. I was hoping to get the fenders bolted on permanently in this video, but it's not gonna happen. So yeah, once I get the fender welting in up here, that's gonna look really good. The gap looks really nice all the way down. No real issues at all. Turned out really nice under here. So everything looks really good. On the passenger side here, I had a little bit more of a gap than I wanted. This one's actually a little bit high. I made this one a little bit higher by accident than the driver's side, and I think that's why I have that gap there. But that's all right. I'll stack in a piece of rubber and then the welting, and that'll take up that difference. Otherwise, everything else is good to go all the way around. Cab corner, everything looks really good. Stay tuned in the next video. We'll get these things paint matched and hopefully bolted on permanently. So, all right, guys, do me a favor, please subscribe if you don't mind. It really does help me. Thanks for the support as usual. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for all the suggestions. I really do appreciate all that stuff. You guys do help me out a lot on this stuff, believe it or not. You help me make up my mind with a lot of things. So, all right, cool, guys. Appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.